Let's be honest, we've all been there. You're gassed, you're done, there's nothing left in the tank. Creatively, you are just feeling dry. Go on a shoot, you're recording the scene, just snapping away, but nothing is crying out to you. That creative spark and urge is just not there. Nothing is sparking that journey, that awesome little rabbit hole of creativity that we all know and love, and the reason we got obsessed with this profession and what we do, or this hobby. Wherever you're at, you all know the feeling when you're just obsessed. Creativity is flowing, you're moving along and you're just snapping bangers all the time. You just can't get there. Yo guys, what is up? My name is Ed. I am a working videographer slash photographer slash content creator based in Melbourne, Australia. And what you just heard was a little monologue about what the last month has been like for me. Now, in a previous video, I talked about getting shit done, going the extra little bit, putting in that little bit of polish on your videos and doing that little bit extra to really bring things home. But today we're going to talk about another creative struggle, and that is creative burnout or struggling to find inspiration, however you want to put it. I think once we've labeled ourselves a creative, or the people around us have labeled us a creative, we sort of carry this weight, this responsibility that is probably more self-imposed to constantly be creating and constantly be getting better and constantly publishing your best video or your best photo and carrying this sort of burden of creativity in a sense. We tend to take on the creative as a part of our identity, and we enjoy the fact that we are creative and we create things that make people stop, look and listen, that make people feel a certain way. It's a really beautiful medium that we're involved in. It doesn't matter if you're a graphic designer, a photographer, a videographer, like whatever you're doing, that's a really cool thing to be able to say that you can do to people. But it also comes with a little bit of pressure, and mainly internal, mainly pressuring ourselves to keep on creating, keep on doing more. And you can eventually hit a wall where there are no more ideas, nothing's jumping out at you. And then we have this sort of clash of the ego versus reality. We can get to the point where we're not creating, but we've given ourselves a label of being a creative, so all of a sudden our ego kind of just going like, we're a creative, why aren't we creating? And the reality is we're sitting there and we don't have anything to create, we don't have any good ideas, and we're just stumped. And then in comes self-doubt. And we've all been there. We have all been there. You've been brainstorming ideas for hours and hours and trying to get that one idea to come up with, whether it's for a client, whether for it's YouTube, whether it's for your dog's Instagram page, but there's nothing coming to you. And that doubt starts to erode away at our confidence as a creative. But this is a totally normal process. So how do we find inspiration in times where we don't really have any? There's a few things that I like to do. And again, guys, we are just sort of giving you a monologue what I'm going through, and hopefully it's relatable to you guys, because this is literally something that I did today and I was like, I've got to flick on the camera, I've got to get this down, and hopefully one of you gorgeous souls out there will relate to it and this will help. So what do we do? Where do we go to find some momentum? Luckily for you, my friend, I've got a few ideas and hopefully it helps you. If not, double tap that dislike button and leave me a comment, tell me how dumb I am. Please don't, it's been a rough week. The first one I can say is stop trying. I think if you're sitting there and you're absolutely grinding it out, and as much as I admire you for sticking to it and really just pushing through something and really trying your hardest to do your best and to commit to finishing an idea, it is also important to take a break. I like to think of creativity as a little bit of a muscle. Like any muscle, if it's used too often and too strenuously, it can just get burnt out and get tired, and it does need to rest. If you are really struggling with something, honestly, my first suggestion is leave it alone. Put your camera away, put your phone away, put your laptop away, whatever you're using to create. Go for a walk, get outside, let your mind wander. I think, unfortunately, these things here are the devil when it comes to creativity. It's like, you know, all your best ideas come to you in the shower. That's because it gives your mind room to wander. And for me, it's one of the reasons why I always have either a notepad near me, or I'm always using the notes on my phone, because if I leave my phone alone and I can run to it and write an idea down that I've come up with, I find it sort of starts that momentum and I get back into my little creative groove again. But for me, it's more important to let myself breathe, let my head breathe, and just get away from it all. Stop focusing on why I can't create and then just focus on something else entirely. You never know, might be walking down the boardwalk or walking through the forest, walking around your neighborhood, and you come up with a really cool idea. You might stumble across some secret area that you haven't seen before, and then you want to go grab your camera right then and snap photos. It's these little things that can trigger you to be to find that groove and find that space again. And I can pretty much guarantee it with like 99% certainty, if you're banging your head against the wall, you know, grinding it out, trying to think of ideas and getting frustrated at yourself, you're probably not going to find it. Number 2 is lean on your fellow creatives. One of my clients that you guys have heard of before, Laneway Dramana, I've been taking food photos there and coffee photos there for 2.5 years. When you're shooting the same subject over and over, it does get to the point where the creative ideas start to slow down a little bit. You don't want to recycle your really good ones, because the ones that really stand out are the ones that are probably gonna be noticed more if they're repeated. So you want to keep it fresh. For me, what I did today is I went to Pinterest, I went to Adobe Stock, I browsed Instagram, coffee hashtags, and I looked up all the good shit I could find, kept them in a folder, and thought, how can I apply this to my client? That's what I mean by lean on your creatives. I'm not saying, you know, frame for frame copy someone, but when you're browsing through these things, you're gonna come up with an idea. I was browsing through these coffee photos and I just saw one that was a splash photo. I've seen it a million times, I've done it a million times, and I thought, well, what if I Photoshop it to make it a little bit cooler? So now I've got 5 ideas of photos I want to get done. Next time I'm there, I'm going to have an epically creative session when I go in next week to shoot for them, and I'm excited to go back there. I'm excited to try it, and that was something that I didn't have the last time I was shooting there, just because, not because of I don't like the client or anything like that. I was sitting there going like, how the fuck am I going to take a good photo? Like, I was walking in there with no plan, nothing to do. Probably a good tip as well. Have a plan. Number 3, and this sort of follows with number 1, give yourself some slack. You're a human being. You're not a creative algorithm designed to pump out fresh content that it's the best that anyone's ever seen, you know, 7 days a week, you know, 52 weeks a year. That's not you. You need to breathe. I can guarantee your favorite YouTubers out there aren't pumping out their greatest videos or what they think are their greatest videos ever every single time they upload. And you shouldn't be putting the expectations on yourself. Another reason why your phone can be a bit discouraging is that you're constantly surrounded with the best of the best. And you know, while one of your creators might be having a shit week that you follow on the gram, you're also surrounded by 10 others that are posting constantly. And you know, you're constantly seeing content come out and you're saying to yourself, I'm not taking those photos, I'm not getting this sort of regularity. But the reality is you don't see the downturns of these people. You don't see that, you know, they might be having a shit week creatively because you're distracted by the other pretty shit on there. So keep that in mind, guys. Everybody has slumps, and do not judge yourself for it. Doesn't mean you're not a creative. It doesn't mean you're not a good creator. It just means you're having a rough patch. It happens. It's life. It's part of the journey. Be gentle to yourself. You deserve it. Now, here's the last one, and this is probably a little bit counterintuitive, and the reason being is that this whole situation can be started from various things. Sometimes it's stagnancy. You like not been shooting for too long. I remember last year there was a point where I was inside editing for about a month, and then I want to go out and shoot again, and I almost felt like I didn't know how to use my camera. It had been that long that I'd actually picked it up and physically used it rather than editing on the computer. I was like my brain had switched over. So I had to get out there and go and shoot a few times for me to get comfortable with it and start getting the momentum going and the ideas flowing again. It might not be exciting to go out and shoot when you do it because you don't have that plan, you don't have that shot that you want to get, but you'll often surprise yourself, and then it sparks an idea, and then you love it, and these are some of your favorite photos ever. More than likely, they're not going to be your favorite photos ever. Sorry to break it to you, it's probably not going to happen, but what you can say when your head hits the pillow at the end of the day, you're proud that you actually tried. I think that's the biggest thing, is just giving it a try. As important as it can be to step away and give yourself some space, it can be on the other side of the coin where you're actually not shooting enough and you're just stagnant. You know, you're not burnt out. You just haven't been moving enough, creatively moving enough to be able to stimulate any sort of ideas and imagination and, you know, push yourself to that next level. So sometimes you got to shoot a little bit more, or just get out there, force yourself to do it. You know, commit to half an hour of shooting, just walk out the front door, take your camera, take your favorite lens, and just push yourself. Or even on the flip side, take a different lens that you'd never shoot. So you shoot street photography and you love using your 50mm. You know, take your 24mm, take your 85, take something that you're not super comfortable with and go shoot with that. Whew, rant over. Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate it so much. You guys have been fucking, thank you so much for following me along this whole time. I really appreciate it. You guys are awesome. If you are going through this struggle, guys, give yourself a break. You know, go outside, get some fresh air, go for a run, go for a walk, whatever you need to do. Don't keep hammering it home and trying to grind it out, because I don't think it's ever going to work for you. You're going to get stuck in no man's land, and you're just going to be doubting yourself and hating yourself for not coming up with more ideas. So give yourself some slack. You deserve it. You're a good human. You're not a shit photographer just because you can't take photos for a week. Take care of yourself and the problem will take care of itself. That's it from me, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. See you in the next one. Cheers.